Hello and welcome to episode 263 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and I want to shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who took down the Grizzlies in Game 1 and looked absolutely outstanding in doing so.
They did. On the road.
It was my first chance to really watch a Timberwolves game this year, and I saw Anthony Edwards, and I was totally impressed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was a guy that they said if he develops his basketball game to go with that athleticism and gets a little more, I mean, he'd be unstoppable, and he's pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, he's fast. He can go to the hoop. He's got a great three-point shot. He's a decent passer. He's aggressive. You know, I was just really impressed. Karl Anthony Towns had a great game. Beverly played great. I mean, that team really seems to have it all together right now.
And what is your take? I know we're a few days past, but on the Patrick Beverly celebration when they won the play-in game. I
I
liked
didn't have
it.
a problem with it.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, he's a very emotional player, and he was excited. And why shouldn't he celebrate? I mean, that's a team that hadn't been in the playoffs for a while.
no, and
They're
he
all excited about going to the playoffs. I mean, I'm not going to take that away from them.
no, and the fans were into it. The fans were happy, celebrating, screaming, like it was in the moment. And I thought it was especially funny when guys like LeBron were giving him shit, and it's like you didn't even make the play-in game.
Yeah.
You're supposedly the greatest player of all time. You couldn't even make the play-in game, so maybe just
No,
sit
I
this one
think
out.
that whole team, as much as they've been through in that market with that team, how many coaches, how many GMs,
Yeah,
the social justice stuff in the market, the no fans. I mean, yeah, fine. Let him do whatever he wants to do.
yeah.
I mean, I think that team feeds off emotion to begin with.
Oh yeah.
And you got to let them go.
And I guess speaking of emotion, what do you think about people gluing themselves to the court and chaining themselves to the basket right now?
If I'm going to glue myself to the court and I really want to make it point, I'm going to use Gorilla Glue
Yeah,
or Super Glue. I'm not going to use something else. I'm going to use something that's actually going to work. And I'm going to be on camera for a while. I'm not going to do something. I don't know what she used, but that was a big comment. She should have used Gorilla Glue.
yeah,
But really, I just don't. It's not one of those things. It's just not gonna. It's not like we've learned now that if you're gonna run across a football field, they're not going to show you. And so this has never happened in the NBA before. So now they're going to get to the point where they're not going to show this. It's not going to. It's only going to be for the benefit of the people in the building.
yeah. I thought, I mean, I know it was two weird things that have never occurred before, to my knowledge, but they've gotten a lot of coverage and press. And I mean, if that's what they were after, then they got what they
This
wanted.
hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
And then one of the comments was, they make glue out of chicken, out of animal parts. So what are you protesting?
exactly.
I thought that was interesting too.
It was a little wacky.
Yeah.
I guess the other big news is that the 12 seed Toronto Raptors did not knock off the 5 seed. They looked inferior in every way in that game.
Yeah, James Harden looked like point guard extraordinaire.
And Tyrese Maxey put up 38 points.
Yeah, he looked really good. He's looked good all year.
He has. And Tobias Harris looked good. Embiid looked good. And the upset du jour of the first round that everybody was like, look out, does not look like we have to look out. Especially if Scotty Barnes is hurt too.
No, I just don't see that. I never saw that one coming as an upset. I'm sorry, I didn't see that one. Now, when they get into some better teams,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
I mean, the Raptors are.
When you're playing, we don't think you're going to win. That makes it easier for James Harden rather than, hey, you're going to win, and that's when he seems to shrink.
Yeah. And the Raptors were a nice plucky story all year, but I mean, Fred Van Fleet and I mean, that's not. They're at least one player away, if not two, from being a legit contender.
Yeah.
And Scotty Barnes is a fun guy to watch. It's a shame he's hurt, but again, he's not. He's a really good rookie, but yeah.
And now we'll see what happens if they're able to pry that coach away and take it to the Lakers, which I wouldn't do. But it's like when the Lakers would call, that would be a call you'd want to take and at least have a conversation.
At least have the conversation, but I mean, we can have our Laker moment right here. We'll add that to our list, but like, what are you stepping into?
A cesspool.
A cesspool. You've got no cap space. You got a 39-year-old LeBron. Yeah, LeBron James.
Players.
Yeah. You got a front office that is a little bit inept. You got Magic Johnson, who is the Captain Hindsight of this generation.
It's funny. I just read the Showtime book, and I've been watching the Laker show on HBO. And Magic, in the book Showtime, which the show is based on, was like LeBron. I mean, he was moving people out, getting coaches fired, doing all that stuff. So he was the guy before LeBron was.
Yeah.
That did the same things, but he smiled and everybody loved him. But he moved players out,
and whether you
coaches out.
Yeah, and whether you're talking about his talk show, his coaching, his sports talk show, his businesses, he's really only ever been good at one thing his entire life, and that's playing basketball. And everything else, he should just shut up. And I'll just say it out loud. I don't mind.
Well, he's been very successful as a businessman, so I'm not going to take that away from him.
As a figurehead, sure.
It's his money.
It's his money. Some of it's his money, yeah. But I mean, he's not making decisions. But I mean, he comes on, he was screaming how they never should have drafted Ball, and then this year he's talking about this team needs Ball.
Yeah.
And he was talking about he likes to come on and say how he would have done it better when he had multiple chances and has never done it better. So,
which is like the pattern in the book, and I don't think we get to see it in the HBO show, but if you read the book, which is a very long book, a detailed book, so I was surprised how long it took me to read it.
And I guess LeBron has that quality too of when it's a good decision, this was all me. And when things go awry, like the Russell Westbrook thing was sort of like, well, I was told some different things. It really wasn't about me,
Yeah, and I mean the Magic thing too. He would just, I don't know. And he went right to Jerry Buss. He skipped the general manager, he skipped the coach. He went everywhere. He went right to Jerry Buss.
Yeah.
And Jerry Buss loved him, and Jerry Buss would let him make the decisions he wanted to make.
But I understand the allure of LA if I'm that coach. But Toronto is one of the best run organizations in basketball. And
yeah, I wouldn't go.
And yeah,
I would sit here and tell you Toronto will be back before the Lakers will be back.
I think at this point, barring a miracle, because
yeah,
I just don't know what that team is at all.
Well, I've got a strong rooting interest now in the Timberwolves. So I'm wearing my Timberwolves shorts today as we do our podcast.
I think they're slowly becoming, the underdog team you want to root for.
Yeah, I think so.
I think as much as Memphis is, I think Anthony Edwards is newer to the public eye than Moran is, and I think people are going to be excited about him.
I think it's a 6 or 7 game series, and I'm gonna watch every one of those games. That's the best basketball I've seen. I love the basketball I saw. I mean, it was like 40 to 30 something in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, neither team came out like it was, oh my God, we're in the playoffs. It just came out they were just moving the ball and just really running and playing really hard. It was fun.
And there's not much to say about the other two games. Luka's not playing, and the Mavs lost, and the Warriors beat the Nuggets. So, and that's not really
the Warriors look good.
Yeah. The Nuggets have been undermanned, and they've done all they could all year, but it's tough to see them going anywhere without Murray and Porter. And I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
That could be either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. And I think the same in the other series without Luka. And a calf, we both know a calf is not easy to come back from.
No, it's not. Calf is a lingering injury. See, I watched USFL yesterday. I decided I would go back and forth and watch a little bit of the first USFL game, which was a really 28-24 game. Birmingham beat New Jersey. And, one thing I tweeted out last night about the USFL is I said, it's got a shot because it doesn't have Donald Trump trying to ruin it this time around. So we'll see what happens. But playing all the games in one market, cut down on costs. You're selling a ticket. People can go to any game they want to go to. All the games are played in the same stadium. Today's a triple header. We'll see how the field holds up for 3 games.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
But, we'll see where it goes. It's hard to believe. The one thing is, they use the original names, the original names. But, the Pittsburgh Maulers won't be playing any games in Pittsburgh. So, why are you calling them Pittsburgh Maulers? Just because you want to use the old nickname or what? It's going to be hard to build up an affinity. But this morning in the Pittsburgh paper, There was everything you need to know about the Maulers game, and there was a story on the one guy on the roster that's actually from Pittsburgh.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you also said they have some sort of developmental deal with the NFL, correct?
Yeah, and it's it's a nice. These guys are playing hard. I thought the coaching was really good. I thought the camera angles and the coverage was really good. The lower bowl was definitely full. And I'm not saying it was paid attendance, but I'm saying the lower bowl was full. But it's primarily the TV product is what it's designed to do. And Fox has invested a lot of money in. They got 57 cameras like an NFL game. And the coverage is Chris Collinsworth and Jason Garrett.
I mean, I need to check it out because that sounds interesting.
Not Chris Collinsworth. Chris Collinsworth's son.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's still something. I mean, that's NFL people-ish, kind of.
But it looked like it was, there's 3 games on TV today. I mean, I'm going to give it a benefit of the doubt. It was not inferior. It wasn't terrible football. And then you said we both saw the highlights in the player control league of 48-year-old Terrell Owens catching a touchdown pass.
From Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football.
And that's pretty incredible. And that one looked pretty schlocky. That looked like a lot of WWE kind of glitz and glimmer. So and it's an indoor game, right? The player control league?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's an indoor. I think it's an indoor game.
Yeah, it's something.
So, I mean, if you're a football junkie, there's plenty of football for you.
I mean, The Rock is very adamant about his football league.
And I just don't know if waiting keeping out 2 years is might have been the move at the time, but this seems to, if it's got the NFL relationship and it's got Fox, it's going to be tough to penetrate that with another spring league. I don't think there's an appetite for 2 spring leagues.
No. And what do you think the number is? If you say, we have a star quarterback coming out in 2 years, how much would that league have to pay him for him to not go to the NFL? Like the Warren move.
I don't think they could. I don't think they're not set up to compete that way. They're not going to compete with the NFL.
Okay.
They're going to keep that relationship going, and they'll be kind of like the G League in a way, where you can see the stars on their way up. If you've really developed them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really this is a second, third, fourth, fifth chance league.
Right.
I mean, there's guys that played in the Alliance of American Football. They played in the XFL. They played, in a bunch of different things. And this is a one more attempt to get into, using the baseball terminology to get in the show.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll ever compete trying to sign, quarterbacks out of college or big name stars. I think they're trying to find a niche that Fox likes and can draw a certain amount of viewers and a certain amount of interest. But that's all.
Yeah.
I watched my Los Angeles Angels. Shohei Ohtani hit his 3rd home run in 2 games.
He's good.
I love watching him. I like putting the cowboy hat on after they hit a home run. Because I don't know why they did that, but they were in Texas. Maybe they only did it because they were in Texas. I don't know. But maybe they did it because Gene Autry was their owner and he was a Cowboy. So we'll see if the cowboy hat keeps up. But it was fun to watch. They seem to be having a good time. My comeback hopeful player of the year, Noah Syndergaard, now 2-0. He's only given up 2 runs in 2 games. So I'm hoping Thor can do it.
Yeah. Well,
it's a good story.
Speaking of baseball stories and unwritten rules, what did you think about the team that didn't quit and they got yelled at again? They were still bunting and trying to get base hits. Like, is he? I like what the coach said. Like, are we supposed to just stop playing while the other team still plays? How does that make any sense?
What are you gonna do? You can't just stand up there just with a bat on your shoulder and take strikes. No.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to play, and if they can't get you out, they can't get you out.
Right. And who cares if you're stealing bases or, I mean, like, it seems like a very silly unwritten rule.
Plus, I'm also looking at the time of year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's early in the year. You're trying to do things. You're trying to work on things. You're trying to improve. I'm not going to be critical of it. And
your players got to get their stats so they can get paid and push the analytics guys. Like, I mean, there's stuff to do.
Yeah, and again, you've played in games. I've played in games when you wished you could get the other team out. You just can't get them out, and you're there forever, but that's part of the game.
It's part of the game. And then there's the fan
Tough it
standpoint.
up and play.
Yeah, if I came as a fan, I don't want to watch my team stop playing in the sixth inning because they're winning.
Hell no.
Like, it just.
I mean, and I think it's an embarrassment if you stop playing.
Oh,
I think it sends a worse message.
yeah. And I feel like baseball needs, whoever the baseball voice of reason is just to come out and be like, this is a stupid unwritten rule. I don't know who unwrote it, but we're unwriting the unwritten rule of this one. Like, it's not good for the game. It sounds like you come off like a whiner every single time. Like, they kept playing. It's just.
No, you got to play. You got to play till it's over. If you want to put a run rule in, which I don't agree with, that's the only way to stop it.
Yeah.
If you're up 10 runs in the eighth inning, and then what about all those miraculous comebacks that have been happening that we've seen before? Then you're saying that can't happen anymore, and that's even worse.
Even worse.
I think you just got to let it go. If you can't get me out, you can't get me out. You better get better players, and get better strategy.
Exactly. Well, speaking of more baseball, you saw baseball.
I did see baseball. I saw opening day in Pittsburgh where the Pirates lost 2-1 with 35,000 fans.
That's not bad.
And I saw the next day where they announced 9,000 fans, and they might have had 5.
Ooh. But the weather was not very nice for that game, correct?
And the weather was good for that game.
Oh, okay.
And then I went Thursday night, and it was kind of cold and damp, about 50 degrees, which isn't ridiculous. I mean, they played colder weather than that, but it was cold. And they might probably had 9,000 or 10,000 again. And so I think I tweeted out, we need to figure out how to market the second game of the year. Because it's no different than the first game of the year, other than it's not the first.
Yeah.
It's the same game, the same teams, the same field, everything's the same. But why is there 26,000 fans less?
Well, in a follow-up to last week's talk, and you'll have to forgive me, I had worked a lot of hours and worth of sleepy today. Which game was the $4.11? Was that opening? That wasn't opening.
$4.12. They had 3,500 opening day tickets for $4.12.
Oh, okay.
And I actually told the guys at the Pirates I didn't agree with it.
Right.
I said I would have made a $21 ticket and either given you a hat with 21 to honor Clemente since it's 50th year of his death, or I would have given you a loaded ticket with money for a beer or a soft drink, which conversely cost about the same. I would have given everybody a coupon for a beer or a soft drink to toast memory of Clemente and charge $21. And I think you could have sold 3,500 of those.
Easily.
And without, I have a problem when you make the ticket the equivalent of a gallon of milk. All right. Now, you know what? It's the equivalent of a gallon of gas. That's what it is.
It is, yes.
So $4.12 was just about the gas price in Pittsburgh. So you're saying going to Pirate games equivalent to a gallon of gas. And I just don't think that's a good comparison. I just don't think it's what you want to say.
No, you do not. It's not the best look.
No.
Well,
I had fun. The Pirates won 2 out of 3 games. They've got some fun players to watch, and they play hard. They're just not that good, And if you ask me how many major leaguers are on the Pirates, I would say Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, Ben Gamble, and Michael Bednar, and Michael Chase. I'd give you 5. So I'd say 5 out of 28 are actual, to me, major leaguers. And that's it.
It's not a great ratio.
It's not a great ratio, but they played hard, and I enjoyed it, and I had a good time.
Well, that's a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful day, beautiful ballpark. I posted a bunch of pictures on Twitter and Facebook. So, yeah, had a good time.
Yeah. And I'm going to check the numbers over the week to see how, because MLB The Show was once again free on Xbox if you're a Game Pass guy. It came out for Switch, came out for PC. Because I would like to see, how is the baseball video game doing?
That's interesting. I would like to know that too.
Because, I figured I'd give it 2 weeks to see what the numbers are, to see if, you get the hardcore fans to jump in right away. But, because if you can't make the video game interesting for kids, I think that's going to be a bad sign. So.
Well, the good thing is that Otani's on the cover.
It is.
And Otani's doing the commercials. And so, and he's such an inspiring story that will help. I think that should help in some way, at least you want to check it out. I don't know if you want to stay with it, but you might want to check it out.
And the other great thing they've done is that finally this generation of games, they're embracing crossplay, meaning if I can play you on my PlayStation if you're on PC or Xbox, like the competition is out the window. And if I buy you on my Switch and I want to play you on the Xbox, I can upload my save and play that way. So I can go on the go to there. So it's, I mean, they're making it as likable as possible.
Yeah. So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
NFL time. Baker Mayfield interview. What do you think?
It's not good.
I like this dog.
Yeah. He just needs to, he needs to find somewhere where he can disappear for a year. Get healthy, get some good reps. Like I said, people that have talked about being Tom Brady's backup seems like about the best thing that could possibly happen to that guy.
I think that'd be a great thing. I think that would be a great thing. His future's going to be tied to nobody's going to trade for him right now. Even nobody's going to trade for him before the draft.
No.
So the Browns have two options. You got to pay him anyhow. So you just keep him on your roster and hope that a quarterback gets hurt somewhere and somebody will pay you for Baker. That's one. Or do you think it's going to be disruptive? You need to get rid of Baker and you eat the salary, and then somebody's going to sign him because you're going to sign him for the NFL minimum, and the Browns are going to pay $20-some million to Baker, and that's what you're going to have.
I think if you're the Browns, yeah.
I can see almost any NFL team saying, "Hey, this guy was the number one pick. I know he didn't do well in Cleveland, but he had his moments. Maybe he had bad coaching. He was in bad situations. Let's put him on our squad for a year. He's a backup. He's not a starter. Let's work him out. Let's see what we have. It's not cost us anything to find out."
Yeah. I mean, I know there's teams that clearly have the cap room and they could bring him in and maybe, they offer, at this point, Cleveland would probably take a future 7th round pick for him.
Nobody's going to pay for him, though.
No, but I think if you...
That's the beauty of it. You can sit out there knowing you're not going to have to pay him.
Yeah.
And you can wait. It's a waiter's game.
But if you're the Browns, I think you have enough negativity and distractions swirling around your organization right now. I don't think you need another one.
No, I wouldn't keep him. And you knew who I would pick if you knew who I would pick up. I would do the Buccaneers thing if they could get to him. But if I'm the Colts, or if I'm the Commanders, those are teams I would take him because who knows what either your quarterbacks are going to do.
It's true. Well, especially the Commanders. I think we know what Carson Wentz is going to do because he's shown us,
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be good for a while, and he's going to have Carson Wentz moments. And then you've got to do whatever. And, but that franchise is a shitstorm because you got all this scandal now of did they cheat visiting teams in the Players Association out of revenue by not reporting it or underreporting it and, really violated their NFL agreement and their revenue and everything else. I mean, this is a bad situation.
It's a very
bad. He could be forced to sell the team. And he probably should. He's been nothing but problems for that franchise.
He has. It's true. That would be the best thing for that team. I think if you're a fan of that team, you can really come back and be excited now,
If you're a fan of that team, you loved them 20 years ago. That's what it means.
Yeah, you could have it.
How you could love them under his stewardship.
No, I don't think so either.
No, he's terrible. Terrible for the game. Terrible for business ethics and integrity, and for how he treats people. Get him out. But it's going to be up to the other owners to get him out.
And the more I've listened to draft coverage, onto my NFL draft moment, I tend to think that a quarterback might not be taken until after 15. And maybe even, because I'm reading some stuff, some Steeler insider stuff, that even the Steelers don't like any of these quarterbacks.
Even though now they've jumped up, they got Malik Willis going earlier, so now they have the Steelers taking Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. I just feel like between Trubisky and Rudolph, you basically got Kenny Pickett.
I agree. I don't see them. I really don't see them drafting a quarterback unless it was Willis or Desmond Ridder in the second round.
Yeah.
But I really think they realize where they are, what they have, and just, improve the team in other areas.
I agree. That's been our Steeler mantra. And hopefully, when we do our draft recap on a Saturday, we'll be talking about that.
Hopefully so.
Because Malik Willis sounds like he might be a 2 to 3 year project too. So
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I've seen him as high as 2. I've seen him at 32.
yeah,
So
like I feel like the quarterback needy teams are going to want to be trading back into the later half of the first round to get the 5th year option. But even then, I'm not sure if it's worth. I feel like even though it comes up a year earlier, you're still if they turn out to be good, you're not going to mind paying them after year 4. You know,
no, if they turn out to be good, that's right. It's a value.
and if they're terrible, you probably rather you would decline the 5th year option anyway. So I'm not sure if there's even value in trading that for him in that standpoint.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Well, you had some food stuff.
I did have some food stuff. So in Pittsburgh, and whenever I go to Pittsburgh, I go to Fiore's, I go to Familia. Both of them were outstanding. Great food. Enjoyed my pizza at Fiore's, and my hot sausage was tremendous. And then I went to Familia, and I usually always have the seafood fradiatella, but I knew I was going to be too full to eat that. So I got, see, Familia, it's like 4 courses. If you order an appetizer, it's 4 courses.
Huh.
And their appetizer is a giant meatball stuffed with provolone, and in a sea of red sauce. And I will tell you, it's outstanding. Even though it's a giant meatball about as big as a softball, it's a great meatball.
That's impressive because usually bigger, not better.
Usually so, but so that we ordered that, and we went with your cousin Kevin. We went to had that. The next course is salad. The next course is pasta.
Yeah, that's a hefty meal.
And then is your entree.
And you still get an entree.
And so my entree this time was veal parm, and it was outstanding. But I could only eat about half of it, so I gave the rest of it to Kevin to take home.
Nice.
And Mom had, for my pasta course, I got like a fusilli in red sauce. Mom got cacio de pepe. And she said it was outstanding. And she took it back and ate it again the next day.
Yeah.
And heated it up in a microwave and said it was still outstanding.
A simple dish that is usually that's your test course in an Italian restaurant. Can you make it?
Yeah.
That's only 3 ingredients.
I'm telling you, nobody could eat and it's not even the full serving like an entree.
Right.
It'd be impossible almost to eat what they gave Mom in one sitting.
Ooh.
It's just hard to, I mean, it's like a pound of pasta.
Yeah, that'll sit in your belly.
And they bring it out, and Jason, they do it in the Parmesan wheel.
Oh.
So which I've never seen the cacio de pepe done that way before.
I have not either.
So they do it tableside and bring it out and just do that. So it's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
And then yesterday I had decided, we bought a ham, and I decided I really like Mother's baked ham in New Orleans. It's some of my favorite baked ham. So I went online, wanted to see if there was a recipe for Mother's baked ham, and there was. And it's called Mother's black ham, Mother's double smoked black ham. So, and I told you offline, I said I just assumed it was molasses.
Yeah, or honey or something.
Told me, but I just assumed it was molasses because it turns dark and it caramelizes and it's sweet, and that's what it is. So I got the recipe, and the recipe starts with 2 12-ounce bottles of root beer, and then some pepper jelly and some Tabasco and brown sugar, all these different things. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it. So we mixed it up. Mom was the sous chef and got the sauce ready, and I smoked it with mesquite on my Traeger. And I gotta tell you, it was one of the best baked hams I've ever had. And you couldn't tell it was root beer, which was, that was what I was dreading the whole time. I like a ham sandwich and a bottle of root beer, but I don't know if I want the root beer on my ham.
No, I wouldn't.
It worked out. It worked out perfect. You couldn't tell it was root beer.
Huh. Who knew?
A real surprise.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And then my entertainment moment is I continue to watch Winning and Showtime on the HBO The Lakers series, which has been really, really good. And so I decided I was going to read the book it's based on, which came out in the I think late 80s, early 90s, with the author who helped write the screenplay. And I thought, okay, I want to see this. And follows it pretty true. Now, it doesn't have Jerry West throwing stuff like we saw in the HBO thing.
Right.
But it does have him being pretty hard to work with. Hating being a coach, and then personality changes a lot when he's a general manager.
Huh.
But he just hated coaching and didn't like it, and that, that kind of thing. It paints Jerry Buss just as accurately as the show. It makes Magic Johnson a sex addict, and it makes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar one of the hardest people in the world to get to know and get along with.
And yet now he seems like one of the most rational, best social commentary writers in the world.
Yes.
He seems delightful as far as his insights,
Yeah. But, at the time and everything, talks about Kurt Rambis, talks about Michael Cooper, Michael Thompson, Pat Riley. It's really well done. I mean, I would recommend the book as well as the series. And I'm sure the series is only going to cover 1 year. The book covers the entire time to when Riley leaves to go, when Kareem retires and Riley leaves. And so that's the end of that version of Showtime till Kobe and Shaq come back.
Yeah.
But it's good. I really enjoyed it. That's my entertainment.
And the one time I met Kareem, he was very nice to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've only heard great things about him, but I didn't, know him in this period of time, so.
Yeah. Well, I just started talking to him about Game of Death and how he fought Bruce Lee, and I think he was just excited to talk about that.
Yeah, and he talked in the book, it talked about when he was in Airplane that he was actually excited that he thought he could have a career in film.
Yeah. Well, if you've never seen him in Game of Death, him fighting Bruce Lee is kind of a cool fight scene.
All right. And the scene in Airplane is one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, he's outstanding in Airplane. Yeah. I think that alone makes him the best Lakers actor. Well, I guess Rick Fox has had a nice career, but Wilt Chamberlain in the Conan movie was not very good.
No, he was terrible.
He was terrible. But Kareem was genuinely funny in Airplane.
Yeah.
As himself, in a weird way. Yeah. I guess that's pretty much it for this week, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've got anything else.
No. And hopefully I'll have some time this week to do some food and entertainment moments for people. But until then, thank you again for all the support.
Yeah, and watch some good. I'm pretty excited about the NBA playoffs. I'm going to spend a lot of time watching the NBA playoffs, more so than I did the last couple of years, because I like some of these matchups are really intriguing to me, and I want to watch them.
Oh yeah.
So I'm excited. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you next week, and then 2 weeks from now we'll do our show on Saturday and we'll do a recap of rounds 1, 2 of the NFL draft.
All right.